Hi, my name is Riaz Sidi. If you are in tech and SaaS, you'll definitely be familiar with SAS North. SAS North is Canada's largest conference dedicated to SaaS, hosted in Ottawa each year that thousands of professionals have attended over the years. And with the impact of COVID-19 on the conference world and the SaaS world, it's more important than ever for SaaS companies to learn about how to grow and pivot their SaaS business in this volatile and unpredictable time. So today, very fortunately, I'm joined by David Tyldesley, co-founder of SAS North, to discuss the impact of COVID-19 on the SaaS world. Hey, David, how's it going?
Hey, Riaz, I'm good. Thanks for having me over here.
Great. Thanks for joining me. So many watching this video will be familiar with SAS North, but for those who aren't, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the SAS North conference.
Yeah, SAS North is built, designed, owned, operated in Canada since 2016. We started it, off the back of a napkin, as they say, really a grassroots kind of a driven conference, organically grown in Canada for the Canadian SaaS entrepreneur, the average Canadian fast growing, I should say, SaaS entrepreneur. And as the show's grown over the last 5 years, the market has matured over the last 5 years. And now here we are with, really a big shift in market dynamics. And we've had to rethink the way we do the conference, just the way that our audience is rethinking how to run their own businesses today.
For sure. So I think it's great that you're supporting SaaS founders during this time by continuing to host an event to support and educate them during this time. So maybe let us know a little bit about how COVID-19 has impacted your business, what you did initially, and what triggered this idea of SAS North now.
Yeah, obviously, for our business, we're a conference business. So we build, own, and operate conferences day in, day out, all year. That's what we do for a business. And obviously, we were directly impacted by COVID, and will be continued to be impacted by COVID. And, like lots of other SaaS companies, certainly some of the ones maybe in certain verticals like travel and so forth, maybe some of the retail related SaaS businesses, are being directly impacted by COVID. Mm-hmm. So, what did we do when things really went crazy in March? We had to obviously press pause on the business, canceled all of our in-person events. Took a step back, and it was all about mitigating the risk, which like all of our audience would understand. What can we do to reduce our risk and work with all of our suppliers and our contracts and our customers and our ticket holders and our sponsors. And that initial wave, if you will, took about a month, to really kind of get through that. And then we had to sit on our hands for a little while because it felt like every day we would start to try to do some meaningful work, but then you'd have to tear it up the next day, because everything was just changing day in and day out. So, we took some time to reflect and basically think about our business, think about, SaaS, the SaaS ecosystem in Canada, and, what we were going to do next. And we took a while to make the decision to shift SAS North to a virtual model. We wanted to make sure we could do it in a meaningful way, and we wanted to make sure we were doing it for the right reasons. And basically, we're all about connections. So, when we decided we were going to go SAS North virtual, we needed to be sure that we weren't just doing, a series of webinars. We wanted to do, nothing against a webinar, but this is a conference. Right. So obviously what we're doing right now is great, but, for a conference to be different from a webinar, it's all about the connections. It's all about the interactivity with the audience, and it's all about the engagement. So we had to shift our mindset really, from March being on a defensive kind of position, like many of our audience and our ecosystem, to an offense. Mm-hmm. So we, pivoted our business, like many of our SaaS founders are, actually taking this opportunity to launch new products, or double down on other products that they had maybe on the back burner to, adapt to the new market dynamics and the new consumer behaviors that are out there right now.
No, I can absolutely appreciate that, because a lot of SaaS founders are going through this volatile environment. And I think, for at least in my experience, SAS North and your team have been leaders for SaaS founders in this regard. So it's nice to see that you're pushing through and going on the offense rather than staying on the defense, and encouraging, you know, attendees to do the same as well. So you mentioned a little bit about webinars versus actually a conference, and that was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you about. So what are some of the other things that are going to be different? What can SaaS founders look forward to from a virtual conference put on by your team? Because, you know, my fear is it's going to be video after video, and it's just going to be webinars. And really, for me, and I know a lot of founders out there, it's really about shaking hands and being able to generate new contacts and grow their business that way.
Absolutely. You know, and that was the exact reason why we didn't come out of the gate 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks after the, you know, initial state of emergency and so forth, to just shoot from the hip and say we're doing a virtual conference. You know, we wanted to be sure we knew why we were doing it. And, you know, we had to put a lot of thought into that. And we've kind of broken it down. Roughly speaking, half of the audience that comes to SAS North, they come for the content. We know that. We survey them. We ask them. Half of the audience, it's actually quite interesting how distinct it is. Half. They say content first. That's what they're there for. You know what? Those people are going to get what they always get. Lots of content. In fact, you could argue, you know, the virtual model obviously is going to be better for some people. Not to mention the reduced cost of you know, traveling hotels. Certainly it's a requirement right now, but if there wasn't COVID, you know, for some people who are traditionally unable to attend a conference like this, we're removing more barriers. It's very reasonable to attend an event like this, not to mention the, you know, the time commitment. Now, when you can also watch all the sessions obviously later on demand and so forth. So you know, traditionally at the event, you miss sessions throughout the day because there's lots of things going on. Well, now you theoretically could just watch everything. So that's a good thing for the content first people. What we're, I guess you could say, concerned about, or what we wanted to make sure we could do right, was address the other 50% that say they're there primarily for connections. And actually that's like me. So, you know, when I go to a conference, I'm there for connections. I wouldn't say it's not that I don't care about the content. I do care about the content, but a connection is more important to me, just the way I am. So, and I think Riaz, you're probably like that too. So we said, hey, look, what kind of connections do you make at a conference? And there's different types of connections, and we're going to try to replicate those different types of connections. So, for example, you have connections that are serendipitous. You have connections like you and me actually at the welcome reception, and you just kind of bump into somebody. You didn't arrange that. You didn't pre-schedule that. You didn't know that I was going to be there. Basically, you're standing next to somebody in the lineup at the bar. That's kind of the analogy. So that's like the randomized connections. We're going to try to approach that opportunity for people who are interested in that. And some people really are interested in that, and some people aren't. So for the people that aren't, there's a different type of networking. And what that would be gathering with people with a similar interest in a small group. So you might have, you know, I guess roundtables would be a good word to describe it. Small groups, maybe there's 6 people, maybe there's 10 people, maybe there's a facilitator, but there's a small group of people with a similar interest. Maybe it's digital marketing, and it's, you know, paid campaigns on Facebook, display ad campaigns, whatever, metrics, so forth. And those people can sit down, they can talk about a subject that they're passionate about, and guess what? They're going to make connections with those people in that small group because it's really easy to meet people. And virtually, there's lots of technology to do that. And also share files, obviously share contact information, but discuss around a subject. The other types of networking would be things like pre-scheduled meetings. So that's always a big part of the physical conference. So we need to make that a big part of the virtual conference too. So everybody needs to be able to message everybody else who's going if they want to, and set up connections. Basically, this is particularly of interest for SaaS founders who are raising money or attempting to raise money or thinking about raising money, and investors that want to help them. So how can we bring those two people together? So these are all priorities for us to address, to kind of provide that value for the people who are coming to a conference virtually and wanting to network. Now, the data is showing that networking virtually can be extremely, extremely efficient. So it's a bit of a learning curve, and it's a little bit, I'll be honest, it's a little scary at first. And even for someone who, like you or like me, is happy or okay going up to a total stranger and talking in person, well, virtually, it's a bit scary to click that button and just get connected to somebody that you've never met before. But it's strangely addictive once you do it a few times. And I think by September too, a lot of our audience is getting more comfortable with the concept of virtual networking as well. So we're happy with the timing of SAS North now, coming in early September, September 9th and 10th. The audience is adapting to the remote work and remote networking and so forth. And I think many people will actually love this, and some will actually like it better than a physical conference. So, you know, what does the future hold when we bring back the real SAS North? That's the big question. We do intend, obviously, to do another SAS North physically in 2021. So maybe there's a hybrid model, and that's what we see probably in the future, is a physical event with a virtual component for people who probably can't make it or couldn't get there. Yeah.
No, that's great. And thanks for clarifying, because I did see the tagline on the website, all the contacts without the contact. And this has given a lot of context to that tagline, certainly. So thanks for taking the time to explain that. I'm really excited to attend the event. Maybe let the people watching exactly know when it is, how they can participate, how they can get involved, and where they can get tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. So saasnorth.com, our usual URL. The event is September 9th and 10th. It's 2 half days. So there's an important thing to note is normally we're 2 full days, in fact, 2.5. So we're 2 half days because, when you're working from home, it's a little different and to keep people's attention, but it's 2 half days. But again, attendees can always go back and review content that they miss. It'll be a mix of predominantly live sessions, but there'll also be some pre-recorded content, lots of networking, even a happy hour. So we're thinking of some fun ways to do that. It is tickets start at $100. So basically, and one of the big clincher here that we want to make sure we get out is all the ticket prices are being credited towards the next physical SAS North. So if you're a SAS founder, you're looking for connections, you're looking for knowledge, you got $100. I got to believe you can find $100. You come to SAS North now, and then you'll also get $100 off your next SAS North physical conference ticket. Not to mention we're donating $10 of every ticket to ALS, which is our charity of choice. Even right now, we think some charities are being neglected. Obviously, people's minds are focused on COVID, and there's a lot of money going to COVID, and that's great. But we continue to fund our charity of choice, ALS.
That's great. Thank you so much, David, for joining me, and I look forward to the live conference in September.
Thanks, Riaz. We'll see you there.